million towards its developmental programs. Well, to expand on this, somebody who's actually on the ground working in Tobago and has all the experience. I'm joined by the the chairman of the Tobago Business Chamber, Mr. Martin George. He's with us via Zoom. Good morning, sir. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good morning to you, Keaton, and good morning to your viewers on the content capital WESN, and good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, Mr. George, let me ask you, the theme for the budget, building capacity for diversification and growth. What were your interpretations from the theme versus the presentation?
Well, the thing is, when one looks at it, you see that there's the usual lip service being paid to the idea of diversifying the economy. But at the end of the day, it always segues back to the reliance upon the oil and gas. In fact, the minister explained that, the long-term projection was for increased production in the oil and gas sector. So it clearly shows that, there is that continued reliance on this as the bedrock of the economy. You look at the, provisions in relation to agriculture, where the tax concessions are offered. But we have said that there needs to be more than that. In other words, if we are talking a strong, resilient, and lasting agricultural reform and agrarian reform in Trinidad and Tobago, it has to be government-led. In other words, you can't simply rely on the individual small farmers who have to face, the constant challenges of predial larceny, flooding, pestilence, dealing with, so many other challenges in terms of getting their crops grown and getting them to market. You need to have an holistic approach to it. So in other words, the government some time ago had spoken about, creating these mega farms. We've seen nothing really to effect that. But I think that's the way we really would have to go if we are serious about reviving the agricultural sector. Agriculture internationally has evolved way beyond, a backyard garden. If you want to look at it that way, you have to have basically the mega farms, and you have to have the technology, you have to have the equipment, you have to have the labor force, so I have suggested, and as a chamber, we of the Tobago Business Chamber have suggested that, look, hey, expand the CPEP and URP programs to ensure that they are now full-time programs, full-day programs. So in other words, workers are working an 8-to-4 job, and you have them now as your seed labor for the agricultural sector. But it has to be an overall holistic plan that is led by the government. It cannot be that you're simply saying, well, tax incentives if you want to do agriculture. I don't see that as having any impact on our food import bill, which we always complain about as a drain on our foreign exchange, reserves. But yet still, you are not really taking the steps to lead that charge for that agricultural reform.
With that said, Mr. George, why do you suppose such steps are not being taken, even though a lot has been touted about diversification? Is it a lack of intelligent thinking? Is it a lack of political will? What is it?
Well, part of it is that, you see, measures such as this would be really long-term measures, medium to long-term measures. So in other words, you're not going to see the results, you're not going to get it done within a 2-year window. And, the problem with our politicians is they only look towards the next election cycle. And the next election cycle is 2 years away. So they only want things that can appear to appease the public for that, short period until elections. That's how we function in Trinidad and Tobago. In other words, we have governments who simply, they get into office and their intention is just really to look at how they can ride out the 5 years until the next election cycle and then hope to retain governance again. And that's how it goes. Instead of anyone taking the option and biting the bullet and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to be in this for the long haul. I'm going to really sit down and try to put in place plans for the long term, which I may not see the benefit of, but the country will. But the thing is, nobody really wants to do that. Nobody wants to put, country before self or country before party. They simply look towards the political survival from term to term.
Mm-hmm. Now, in that sense, let's shift across primarily to Tobago. $260 million for its development plans. The Minister of Finance said, in principle, he agreed with the policies presented by the Chief Secretary back in June of his $4.5 billion budget presentation, and he wishes them well. Well, $260 million, is that enough of a good wish, good luck to you suggestion?
Well, I mean, it clearly is woefully inadequate if it is that one is talking development. But you see, I mean, while we can complain and say, well, the central government hasn't allocated enough, I have always advocated that the THA of itself needs to look inward and try to manage its expenditure, because every year in its budgetary presentation, you have a scenario where basically about 88% of its, expenses go towards recurrent expenses. Right, 88% of its budgetary allocation goes towards recurrent expenses. So you're talking paying wages, salaries, you're talking rental of buildings, rentals of cars, rentals of vehicles, equipment, that kind of thing. That's where the money goes. And if it is that you are spending 88% of your budget that way, then you really never ever have enough to do proper developmental or infrastructural works. So they need to look at reducing that bill, reducing that expenditure to see where they can now actually try to save some money to have some leftover for development expenditure. Now, of course, as I say, the government's allocation can be increased and ought to be increased, because really and truly the 260 million we all know is inadequate. But in addition to this, you see, some of the ideas that we've heard from the THA, they are very nice sounding and very airy-fairy, but you hardly ever see them deviling down into the details to crunch the hard numbers to show a proper developmental plan, which has been backed by your architectural, drawing, your engineering surveys, your environmental impact assessments, because these are the things that really matter at the end of the day. Because look at the scenario that occurred some months ago, where they were just simply trying to develop some roads and they hadn't gotten the permission from EMA, and the EMA basically pulled the plug on it and said, hey, you need to get approvals from us. So I mean, they need to understand that, look, it's not just a question of creating a nice drawing on your computer or, a nice 3D rendering and saying, oh, look, we're going to build a beautiful city of Scarborough, a beautiful city of Roxborough, as you saw Mr. Duke come out some time ago with, some, fantastic futuristic looking drawings that, look like a mini Dubai. I mean, of course, yes, it's nice in fantasy and in theory, but I mean, in reality, you have to think in terms of, okay, how do we actually achieve this? And there's a lot of hard background work that needs to be done before you can come up with a realistic and sustainable plan.
That's most interesting that you've suggested that. So then you tend to wonder then if this is perhaps a move that very much puts the THA in a position that now has to speak further as to what you've just elaborated upon. And does that also include the THA also have to looking at alternative avenues to fund its development programs?
Well, of course, that's something that they would have to definitely look at. But, the reality is that in terms of being able to borrow on international capital markets, the problem is that the THA as an entity is very constrained and restricted in that regard. So therefore, they will have to be creative. And we have suggested ways that actually the central government can facilitate this process and make it a lot easier. One of the things we've suggested as a starting point is the immediate and unconditional repeal of the Foreign Investment Act. This act, which was proclaimed some years ago, is one which actually crippled all direct foreign investment into Tobago. You had a scenario where there were lots of persons who were willing to, put up massive projects in Tobago. But the thing is, with the coming of that legislation, it really put everything to a halt, everything ground to a halt. So therefore, we have asked the government to repeal that legislation. And it's something that actually is going to be of benefit both to Trinidad and to Tobago, because we keep complaining as a nation that there's a foreign exchange shortage. And yet still you have legislation that is a direct block and bar and impediment to direct foreign exchange investment. Why would you want to keep that on your books when all the other islands, Dominica, Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, they are actually rolling out the red carpet to foreign investors and making it easier and facilitating direct foreign investment?
Well, the government is going to make an argument, as has already been made, that we are still spending a lot through our ministries, through of course national ministries and 6 scheduled items. Is that enough that the government is doing on their part, the national government that is?
Well, I mean, of course, those 6 scheduled items are the responsibility of central government, and I mean, there's no escaping that. And those things, of course, do also redound to the benefit of Tobago and Tobagonians. So therefore, that's understood. But the areas under the 5th schedule of the THA Act, for which the THA has responsibility, those are the areas where the THA would need to see how it can increase its access to funding. Because, as I say, if you have so much of your budgetary allocation going simply to recurrent expenditure, then it really leaves you very little wiggle room in terms of any infrastructural development.
So let's expand on that for a moment, because I like the argument that you've made in regards to foreign exchange and all the constraints related to foreign exchange right now. The Minister of Finance made an argument that Tobago has a key role to play in the resurgence of culture, agriculture, etc. He listed a few others. But in that sense, does Tobago understand, or do Tobagonians understand what they can offer or what they have to offer besides a tourist product?
The thing is, you see, I think that comes with a question of vision. The Bible says, a people without a vision shall surely perish. And you sometimes wonder if the leaders in Tobago, if the leaders in the THA really understand or really have that type of vision. You see, we have to recognize and realize that we are in a vastly and rapidly changing world, one that is evolving all the time. And I have suggested, and as a chamber, we've also suggested that, one of the ways that Tobago can join the revolution, the digital revolution, is by, first of all, making free internet access available throughout the entire island. Tobago is a small island. That cannot be impossible for the THA to arrange. Let the young people get to be able to explore their creativity, let them be able to explore their entrepreneurial side. There are actually some Tobagonians who are already making local products and selling on Amazon, So the point is, get them access, get them the tools, get them the materials, get them the, resources to be able to, go into new areas. Let them be able to explore things that we, may not have thought of. And that's the way you are going to get that kind of resurgence and resilience built into your economy. Because once you have the micro entrepreneurs, learning and growing and building their businesses, then of course that will also contribute to your economy in Tobago. So we have to think outside the box. We have to think past the traditional areas, and think past even the traditional careers that, we would have, taught our children to say, well, you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. I mean, the world is spinning way too fast for that. We have to think in terms of, like digital content creators. Look, we have from Tobago, the famous actor, Mr. Duke, who starred in the Black Panther movies, so therefore maybe we need to look at creating, some sort of a movie industry or something. There are so many ways, but you see, you have to have that vision, and that vision has to come from the top. When you think of Singapore and how Lee Kuan Yew was able to transform, Singapore was a poor, indigent, it was a disaster when he took over, and he said, listen, we are going to transform this place. You know, I mean, he put some hard and harsh measures in place, and the population at first were not in favor of it because they called him a dictator, all kinds of things. But eventually, when they began to see the progress and see the results, they embraced it and embraced him, and he's been hailed as the hero and, you know, the father of Singapore, so to speak, because he is the one who revolutionized and changed that country. And remember, Singapore is a very small country. You know, Singapore is about quarter the size of Trinidad, but yet still Singapore is the fourth largest financial center in the world. You know, they are a major player on the world stage. And let me tell you this, they have almost no natural resources, but yet still they were able to, you know, do so much with so little. It reminds you again of the story in the Bible of the man who gave his servants the talents. You know, he gave one servant 10 talents. That servant, he just buried it. And, you know, after several years, he came back and he gave the master, he said, well, you gave me 10, look, I give you back 10. But then the servant who he gave 1 talent, that servant took that little bit and he leveraged it, he worked it, he multiplied it, he reinvested. And then he was able to now produce much more than the 1 talent that he was given. So at the end of the time, the master said, well, you are somebody I could work with, because at the end of the day, you took the little that I gave you and you made a lot out of it. And that's what we have to start doing in Trinidad and Tobago as a whole, and in Tobago in particular.
You think that Trinbagonians have the patience, Mr. George?
Well, you see, let me tell you, it's something that has to be led from the top, and the government has to show that kind of maturity and leadership, and that's self-sacrifice, because it is going to be self-sacrifice. If you think back to when the NAR was in power, they basically took the decision to sacrifice themselves, because that's what it was, because they said, listen, there are some hard decisions that need to be taken, some steps that are not going to be palatable, but we need to take it to save the nation. And that's what is needed at this time in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not sure, when one looks around at the political landscape, you see too many players who seem willing to, you know, make that type of sacrifice. In fact, most of our politicians appear to be seeking self-interest and be self-serving rather than be willing to, you know, make that self-sacrifice. So that's the challenge we have in Trinidad and Tobago. But unless we get that direction and that leadership and that willingness to bite the bullet and say, hey, listen, Trinidad and Tobago, this is our 5-year, our 10-year, our 15-year, our 20-year plan, and we are sticking to this, we are staying the course, we are going to change. Because change is not going to come overnight. You know, even you talk about the crime situation and, you know, how everybody feels depressed about that. That can change. I never lose hope, you know, Keaton. I always remain optimistic, because Trinidad and Tobago has so much potential. You see, when you travel all over the world and you look at other countries, you recognize that, hey, listen, our problems are not insurmountable, you know. It's just a lack of proper political will and a lack of our leaders having that gumption and the testicular fortitude to say, hey, listen, I want to make this a positive change, and regardless of what it's going to do to my political career or whatever, I'm going to do this for the nation. Nobody wants to put country before self or country before political party. They all want to toe the line to look for benefits and whatever favors they can get. And that's the real challenge we face in Trinidad and Tobago on a daily basis.
Well, Mr. George, before we bid farewell this morning, and thank you very much for your time, in that sense as well, the allocation, the budgetary allocation for Tobago, what does it suggest of Tobago's position in the national conversation in regards to the Twin Island Republic? Because it's on the lower end of the Dispute Resolution Commission's its suggestions from 2001. But in that sense, how does it reflect upon the position of Tobago in national development?
Well, the thing is, you know, I think that what Tobagonians need to understand and recognize from this is that, look, hey, you have to start looking for ways to wean yourself off of the financial umbilical cord that has you tied to the central government. In other words, yes, the Dispute Resolution Commission has allocated that, yes, you must get a certain percentage of the national budget. But apart from that, try to find your own ways of generating your finances, generating your income. So therefore, in other words, what the central government gives you is now going to be a bonus on top of what you can earn or generate for yourself, rather than it being a scenario where every year you come stretching a begging bowl to central government and, like Oliver Twist from the William Shakespeare play, you're asking, sir, can I have a bit more, please?
Mr. George, thank you very much for your time this morning, sir. Wishing you all the very best and looking forward to the next conversation.
It's always a pleasure, and I always say, Kitan, that shows like this, I am always willing to make the time, because I think by you and I having this type of discussion and discourse, we help to elevate the level of conversation in the nation. Because of course, we're a nation of humor, rumor, and old talk and bacchanal, but sometimes there are serious issues that need mature, sober discussion and reflection. And if this is our contribution to nation building, I'm always happy to be part of it. Thank you.
I can only salute that, sir. Thank you very much once more. All the best to you.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful morning.
You too, sir. Have a great day. Mr. Martin George, the chairman of the Tobago Business Chamber, and by extension, a patriot, joining us this morning on AM Prime. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a quick break, and when we return, we get into some more conversations. We'll be right back.
Are you ready?
We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready.
Fridays just got more important. On Friday, October 13th, Trinidad and Tobago's national football team battles Guatemala in a crucial Nations League encounter from 9 p.m. at the Hazley Crawford Stadium.
Are you ready?
A victory for the Soca Warriors will guarantee us a place in the quarterfinals with a host of possibilities, including the prestigious Copa Football and a World Cup seeding. Calling one and all to the National Stadium on Friday, October 13th. Let us fill it with noise and let the support reverberate. Tickets cost $100 covered, $50 uncovered. Tickets are on sale now at eboxtickets.com and at the venue from 12 p.m. on match day. Show your true colors. Be a fan. Be the ultimate Soca Warrior.
We're ready for the road.
Alan's Funeral Home, Tunapuna. Relax. We know the loss of a loved one can be challenging, but we've got your back for all your funeral needs, from documents to the service and or burial. Let Alan's Funeral Home take care of you and your loved ones. We are located on the Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. Call us today at 663-1829 or visit allansfuneralhome.com. Alan's Funeral Home. Let us take care of business.
Let the Home Store turn your house into a home you love. Get everything you need to give your home that special look and feel. We offer household items, lawn and garden, paint center, hardware, plumbing, lighting and electrical, toys and storage solutions. 5 convenient locations: 6th Avenue Barataria, The Falls at Westmore, Pennywise Plaza Shoguanas, C3 Center Branch and C3 San Fernando. Check out our Facebook page for more information and come visit us today. The Home Store. Turn your house into a home you love.
You gave us the inspiration to be first. We gave you the solutions that put you first. You walked with us side by side, and we continued to serve you with pride. First Citizens celebrates with you 30 years of achieving dreams, shaping success stories, and painting brighter futures together. And together, we'll accomplish so much more. First Citizens, together, 30 and beyond.
From Maracas Bay to Arafita Avenue and Piaco, Richard's Bake and Shark brings the world's most popular fish sandwich closer to you. Open daily at all our locations.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the right and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Trinidad and Tobago is not short of talent. In fact, that talent was further recognized and the achievements awarded by the BBC International Radio Playwright Competition. As a gentleman by the name of Julian Neves won that competition with his play, his skit called The Mighty Kobu. Now, it's a radio play, which is obviously different to something that you would see being acted on a stage. But we'll get into all of that as I welcome Mr. Neves to the program. He's with us via Zoom. Hello, sir. Welcome. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Keaton, and good morning, all the BSN Content Capital viewers. Morning, everyone.
Well, sir, first of all, on behalf of the station, and of course, congratulations on quite a remarkable achievement indeed, because there were hundreds of entries from what I've learnt of, and it's quite fantastic. But your story is most unique, actually, because this play, The Mighty Kobu, has been with you since the 1990s. And this is, in 2018, actually, you entered the competition, unfortunately not quite making it. So let's start there, first of all, with the competition in 2018, coming up to the year of 2023. Overcoming that loss, which obviously would have played some impact on you, whether it was significant or not. How did you overcome such to just push forward and continue with what you've referred to as your dreams and passions?
Well, in 2018, I didn't win the overall competition, but I did win the Caribbean region with my play Time to Get an Android. So it was a recognition that, okay, the judges saw my work and they saw value in it. So I was inspired, well, okay, if I could win the Caribbean region, I could try again, come with a different play, a better play, and possibly win. So I think when you're really passionate about something and you have a dream about it, and you use every disappointment as a learning experience, and you say, well, okay, go back and build better and try better. So I just learn from it and I keep improving my craft.
You've taken disappointment and you've turned it into success. You've spoken a lot about your passion and dreams, but at what point did you realize radio plays is something that I'd like to get involved in?
Well, the thing is, my dream as a child was always to be a novelist. And over the years, my creative endeavors have taken different forms. I've written poetry, I've written plays, I've written prose. I've done a bunch of different things. So when I saw the radio play advertising, I was like, okay, well, this sounds interesting. And for me, a good jumping off point into my own career is winning these competitions, getting that recognition. So I pretty much just saw it as like, well, okay, I've written plays before. Let me, learn a bit about doing a radio play, and let me try it and see what happens.
What exactly is a radio play for those who don't really understand? Exactly how does a radio play differ to something that you'd see being acted out on a theatre stage?
Well, a lot of the fundamentals of a regular play do apply, where you do have characters, you do have scenes and so forth, you do have directions. The main difference with a radio play is that you have to emphasize a lot with the audio elements, where you have to write in, well, okay, you hear this sound, you hear this music, you hear this. And because the persons are not seeing people up on stage, the characters have to help you out where they say, oh, look, that man is falling down there. They kind of explain what is happening in the story as well. And because they're not looking at the people on stage, you can't have any long conversations have like a monologue or a soliloquy, because just hearing that on stage will get boring. So you need to have kind of that back and forth chatting to kind of keep the action lively. So very similar, but just a stronger focus on telling out the story and with the audio aspects of it.
If there's a stronger focus on telling out the story, how do you engage with the actual individual who's listening to it? How do you appeal to them? As you just mentioned, you can't necessarily go on with a soliloquy or monologue. You need to have that back and forth. But is that something that is very challenging to actually try and achieve?
I didn't find it that challenging. I think for me, once I had a handle on the characters, so the conversation, the back and forth between the characters, it came pretty naturally, and I try to keep it as normal and conversational. It really feels like it's okay. It's two people who've known each other for years who are just chatting with each other. So I didn't find it all that challenging.
The Mighty Kobu, that is the title of the winning play, the winning radio play. It's been with you since the 1990s. The story, is it something that you wrote in the 1990s and has sat with you since? Or is it a story that has developed over time? And furthermore, exactly what is the story of the Mighty Kobu?
Sure. Well, we actually wrote the story, as I said, back in the 90s. There was I don't know what would you call it, like a little drama group with Studio 66 in Barataria, and I actually wrote and had the play performed at that point. And it was a very different play. It was very simple. At that point, it was just a one-act play between two characters, retired Calypsonian and his wife, and him talking about another Calypso rival, that issue. And that one, it dealt primarily with, kind of forgetting our artists and not realizing the talent and what they brought to the country. And over the years, as I developed it, I added the additional layer of the mental health issue faced by the protagonist as well, and expanded it where it's a 3-act play now with multiple characters and different scenes and so forth. So I mean, as I have evolved as a writer, the play itself has evolved as well too. And we asked me what the story is about. So it's about the Calypsonian, his name is Brian Gonzalez, His name is the Mighty Coprico, and his rival gave him the nickname the Mighty Kobo. And the catalyst for the story is when his rival it's announced that he's being awarded a national award. So Brian, believing that his rival is stealing the award that should be his, decides to jump back into the Calypso arena after being out for many years, and it deals with his struggles to do that, as well as an issue he is facing with his own mental health. So it's drama, there's some comedy, it's kind of slice of life, family issues as well, all mixed up into one.
And again, this particular play has been with you since the 1990s, and so it's about 20 plus years. And again, the themes of the play is that of aging, of issues associated with mental health. So as time has passed and society has evolved, it's been easier to connect this play with themes associated with more prominent social issues now, even more than ever. Is the theme of the play, or the play itself, more relevant in 2023 than it was in the 1990s?
Well, I would say actually yes and no. I think yes, it's more relevant where we do have a lot more knowledge about when it comes to mental health and its issues and treating with mental health. But I would say no, where with the level of ignorance when it comes to these issues, I think it's still quite widespread, where you have a lot of people, either you are mentally fine or you're mad, quote unquote. So a lot of people don't realize, okay, there's different levels. There are people who dealing with, just need some counseling. There's people who might need, some medication. Somebody needs to be institutionalized. But for a lot of Trinidadians, it's just like, okay, you are mental illness, you are mad, just, we'll lock you up and take you out of society. So hopefully, one of the impacts of this story would be get persons to understand, well, okay, these are real people with real issues who need help and need assistance, and it's not a one-size-fits-all, carte blanche, just throw out the baby with the bathwater kind of approach, Let's, sit down and discuss it. I mean, it's a real issue that people are really dealing with.
Well, if we were to speak about Julian Neves as an individual, I must say I've read quite a number of your articles, and I've enjoyed reading many of them. You have this unique eye and this ability to actually point out certain things or actually write about certain stories or individuals that one might not necessarily think of. It's not the first thing that will come to their mind. It's not even anything that's in their mindset at all. Does that take the passion that you have, or is that just a matter of brainstorming, or is it a mixture of both that you're able to create such unique stories and share it with the rest of the world?
Well, I think for me, I think my reportage, my journalism is a spin-off from my being a writer and a storyteller, where as journalists we're telling stories. I mean, yes, we're telling factual stories, but we're still telling person stories. I guess for me, I find people so fascinating, and I love these stories which are kind of forgotten or bypassed, or some people who don't think is important. Like I always bring up this story I did years ago of an elderly woman. She was about, I think, in her late 70s, who never learned to read because of her own upbringing, and she decided she was going to join an altar class and read. So the entire story was her talking about learning to read, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I can read a street sign, or I can read a newspaper. And for me, I think as journalists, our purpose is not only to inform people of what is happening, but we have shaped the society by the news we bring out. And there's so much good, there's so much inspirational things that are happening out there, and a lot of it doesn't get covered for various reasons. So I think it's always a privilege where I could find these stories, these hidden gems, and bring it out, and really inspire people and say, hey, Trinidad has a lot of beauty, a lot of amazing people, and something that we should be proud of. So I think that is where it comes from.
So upon learning of the news that you were actually awarded BBC International Radio Playwright, the competition itself, what was your very first reaction? Again, especially knowing that since you're a little boy, this is all I wanted to do. 2018 wasn't necessarily the best. Sure, I topped the Caribbean, but I really want to go for the top prize overall. What was your initial reaction?
Well, as I said in the BBC article, I did scream. I had been looking out for any news on it probably for months. I was like, I'm not hearing anything. What's going on? What's going on? So when I saw that email confirming it, I screamed for my wife. I was like, Babe, 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 Babe. And she's like, what? You know, she probably thought the house was on fire. But yeah, I was ecstatic by it, and it really did feel like, okay, I mean, all of these years, all of my work, everything kind of culminates into one is like, okay, this is the recognition, this is the steady jumping off point into a true writing career. Because I think for years I've described myself as an aspiring writer, because I've always been inspiring to be aspiring. Sorry. So I think this is like, well, okay, now I'm a writer. Now it's time to move forward, do more. Really craft a true and real writing career. So it's huge for me and really huge for my country, which I'm so honored to be a part of.
Certainly, but then, as you said, what are the next steps for a writer? This is quite an incredible achievement, and I don't think people will truly understand what you've been able to do. And in that sense, what is next for a writer who has really manifested such dreams into reality?
Well, there are a few. I am still going to look at other competitions in different spheres, short story competitions and so forth. Keep working, keep putting my work out there. And that childhood dream was always to be a novelist, always to write a book. I'm actually working on a book with my mother, who I do credit as inspiring stories and me telling me stories as a child and really awakening that fascination for stories. So book, novel, more plays, it's just, more outlets for creativity. And what I would tell people is, sometimes we do get disappointed where we're in Trinidad and we keep our work just, in Trinidad, and sometimes as a society, we don't recognize it. It's like, oh, this is a nice story, it's a nice thing, but it's a novelty. So sometimes you do have to, but we live in a global landscape. Put your work out there, get the criticism, come back, keep putting it out, and see what happens. There's an appetite for our work out there, so give it to the people.
You've actually been quoted as saying that you're of the opinion that we as Trinidadians, we undervalue ourselves, we undervalue our talent. It's very difficult, it's not easy for one to inspire themselves, or in your case, which is an incredible example, being able to turn that disappointment fueled by passion and turn it into success. So yes, it's very good advice that we need to do just exactly that. But in terms of undervaluing ourselves, how do you as a writer now with this award can speak to others to say this is how you're going to regain your confidence, this is how you're going to rise up from this situation? Because winning an award of this caliber also comes with a certain level of responsibility.
And it is one that I proudly bear. I will tell people, I think I'm a good writer. I think I'm a talented writer. I think I have God-given talent for writing. But I'm a Trini like them. I'm a person. I have a family. I have a job I get up to. I wouldn't say I'm anybody super special. But what I would tell people is, if you have that passion, and if it's about, okay, I have a story, I have poems, I have plays in me that I need to get out, that I want to share with people, the passion is what's going to have to drive. Because you're going to have to push it, you're going to have to get it out there. And what I would tell people as well too is be teachable, be flexible. Give your work to persons with some expertise, get the feedback, take it back, work on it. Nobody is writing the 10 Commandments on stone here. No work is perfect. You can always get better. Take the criticism. If it's not good, throw it out. If it's good, and say, well, okay, hey, this is interesting, put it back. And which is what I did with both plays, both Tantigata Android and with The Mighty Kobo. I did workshop it, I did get feedback, and I did take it back, and I took the advice, and it made it better work. And as artists, it's about creating the best work that you can. And it's about getting your work out and touching people. So, and if you keep working and if the talent and the passion is there, eventually it will be recognized.
So you've also described yourself as being an old soul. I think with the advice that you just gave, we understand why. And that's in a very respectful manner, because the level of confidence that you've exuberated, but the way you've also spoken, the way that you also trying to encourage others is quite remarkable, and it's also quite a mature approach. But in that sense, the next steps, as you said, continue writing, reaching out to others, continue. This particular award and all that has come to next, you said you've done your country proud. Why do you think you've done your country proud?
Well, as others have said, I mean, it sounds cliche, but you know, the whole putting Trinidad and Tobago on the map, because I mean, this is the BBC. You know, it's a very long established, well-known organization. It's an international competition. There were 677 entries from around the world. So, I mean, just seeing, okay, a person from, as they call us, a dot on the map, won this competition over all these countries around the world. I was like, wow, I mean, it seems like something happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's go check it out. And hopefully one day they look for me, they will see all the other writers and poets and all these other creatives who've done such amazing work. So it's you know, putting that spotlight on Trinidad and Tobago again, which so many others have done in the past and others will do in the future.
I like that very much, sir, and I could applaud that. I want to thank you very much for joining me this morning, and congratulations. So from Tanti Yetta Android to the Mighty Kobu, I really wonder what's next. I look forward not only to your next article or your next story, but to hearing some more news in regards to your plays. Thank you very much, sir. Congratulations to you, and all the very best.
Thank you so much, Gitan. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Have a great day.
Yes, sir.
I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I actually myself get a lot of inspiration from Mr. Neves. I've read many of his articles, as I've mentioned during the conversations this morning, and really, I always found it quite amazing. To me, reading this story is one thing, but the individual who's able to find these stories, to articulate it, and to share it with the rest of the world, I think it takes quite a lot, just more than talent. It takes a unique eye, and really, one can say, this is just the start of a lot more to come for Mr. Neves. So congratulations. You've done us all proud, sir. And, well, you've done yourself a lot. So we're looking forward to the next achievements that will be associated with the name Julia Neves. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to news on the hour, let's just share with you some regional updates this morning. And we're moving across to Jamaica, actually, because a poll in Jamaica, this is most interesting given the conversations within recent times here in TNT, but look what's taking place in Jamaica. A poll in Jamaica suggests most citizens want politicians to retire at the age of 65. Yeah, the poll also revealed that Jamaicans want term limits to be imposed. Let's take a look at this report coming from TVJ.
MP for Clarendon Central Mike Henry is 88 years old. MP for North Central St. Andrew Carl Samuda, 81 years old. State Minister in the Science Ministry J.C. Hutchinson, 80 years old. Other MPs such as Olivia Babsy Grange, Ed Bartlett, Dr. Horace Chang, Homer Davis, Dr. Peter Phillips, Desmond McKenzie, Delroy Chuck and Everald Warmington are all over 70 years. Now, there's been a long-standing debate over what should be the retirement age for politicians, and so the matter was put to 1,010 registered voters across the island from August 30 to September 14. 92% of those interviewed said ministers and MPs should retire at a certain age. So, what's the number? 61% of respondents say the retirement age should be 65 years, 21% 70 years, and 6% each said 60 and 75 years. Now, before the 2016 general election, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said that if elected, he would introduce legislation for term limits for prime ministers. Until that becomes a reality, Jamaicans have weighed in. 77% of those interviewed said there should be term limits for the executive president, which is similar to the position of a prime minister.
So 72% said that the
Member of Parliament should have a limit on the number of terms that he or she spends in office.
Others said there was no need for term limits and some were not sure. And how long should an executive president serve?
55% of those who talked in terms of an executive president said he should serve 2 terms only, fixed. 26% would allow him a 3rd term, or her, a 3rd term. 26% said the executive president could serve a 3rd term. 7% said they would give them more than 3 terms. But between those who said 2 terms and 3 terms, we have clearly over 80%. So that's where obviously you would want to be focusing your attention.
What about MPs? How long should they serve? 48% said 2 terms, 30% 3 terms, and the minority said over 3 terms, 1 term, or they were not sure. The RJR Gleaner Don Anderson poll has a margin of error of plus or minus 3%.
Oh, we're certainly going to have to expand on that conversation and that debate at another time, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a break here on AM Prime, and when we return, we'll welcome our final guest for this morning's edition of the program. We'll be right back.
The WESN News on the Hour. I'm Sira Ali. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Investigation underway following a tragic fire that claimed the life of 13-month-old toddler. Ministry of Health issues recall for TheraBreath Kids Strawberry Mouthwash. Internationally, Colombian army has apologized for killing thousands of civilians. Now for the details. In the wake of a devastating fire that tragically claimed the life of a 13-month-old baby girl on Wednesday, investigations into the incident are ongoing. The Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service expressed its deepest condolences to the grieving family and the loved ones of the young victim in a heartfelt statement. According to an official release, the incident was reported around 11:15 a.m. via the emergency number 990. Responding promptly, firefighting units from the Chigones fire station arrived at the scene. Upon arrival, firefighting operations swiftly commenced, confining the blaze to a bedroom on the first floor of the residence. Tragically, the fire resulted in injuries to 3 individuals and the lifeless body of little Harley Passad, aged just 13 months old, was discovered amidst the aftermath. The Ministry of Health has issued an important announcement regarding a voluntary recall for a specific lot of TheraBreath Kids Strawberry Splash 16-ounce mouthwash. This particular lot of the product was exclusively available for purchase on Amazon between May 31st and September 2nd. The recall has been initiated by Church and Dwight Company Incorporated, the manufacturer of the product, due to concerns of microbial contamination. Specifically, the presence of yeast, identified as Candida parasilosis, has been detected in this particular lot. TheraBreath Strawberry Splash for Kids is primarily marketed as an anti-cavity mouthwash suitable for both adults and children aged 6 years and older. Internationally, the Colombian army has apologized for killing thousands of civilians and falsely passing them off as left-wing guerrillas to boost its kill rate during the country's armed conflict. An inquiry found that 6,402 civilians were murdered by the military between 2002 and 2008 and passed off as rebels in a practice dubbed false positives. In an event attended by mothers of some of the victims, the defense minister called the killings shameful. They were not rebels, he added. The commander of the Colombian Army, Luis Ospina, said that painful acts were committed by members of the National Army that should have never happened. Victims were young men, mainly from poor neighborhoods in and around the capital, Bogota. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Sierra Ali. Thanks for watching.
Are you ready?
We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready.
Fridays just got more important. On Friday, October 13th, Trinidad and Tobago's national football team battles Guatemala in a crucial Nations League encounter from 9 p.m. at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. A victory for the Soca Warriors will guarantee us a place in the quarterfinals with a host of possibilities, including the prestigious Copa Football and a World Cup seeding. Calling one and all to the National Stadium on Friday, October 13th. Let us fill it with noise and let the support reverberate. Tickets cost $100 covered, $50 uncovered. Tickets are on sale now at eboxtickets.com and at the venue from 12 p.m. on match day. Show your true colors. Be a fan. Be the ultimate Soca Warrior.
We're ready for the road.
We exposed 5 strangers to KFC's delicious chicken to see if any time could be KFC time. And at the first bite, the party began. We repeated the experiment during the day, during business hours, on weekends, with sunshine, with rain. And it's confirmed. KFC's flavor makes anytime KFC time. KFC, it's fingers licking good.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. If I forgot to wish you a happy Friday, sorry, happy Friday. Welcome back. So, the Caribbean Services Exporters Symposium 2023, the release from the Trans-Tobago Coalition of Services Industries in partnership with the Barbados Coalition of Services Industries and the Asociación Latin American de Exportadores de Servicios. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please forgive me if I didn't. That symposium was due to take place on September 26th to 27th. There's been a bit of a delay, so we'll get into that right now as I welcome to the program the CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries, Ms. Vashti Gaideen. Hello, Ms. Gaideen. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me. Good morning and happy Friday to you too.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Ms. Gaideen, due to take place on September 26th, 27th, it's been delayed. What's taking place with the symposium?
So this is a virtual event and we have had to postpone it simply because the firms that are participating in the trade show aspect of it, they wanted some more time to build out their booths. But that is a good thing because everybody will be prepared and raring to go on October 17th and 18th. So please note the dates, October 17th and 18th, because the first 5 persons to WhatsApp Tila at 322-9006, they are going to get a complimentary ticket.
Well, that's excellent. Wow. But also, the reason for the delay is because the businesses that wanted to participate wanted more time to prepare, obviously. But that is still quite incredible because let's expound on this. You've taken this from a symposium that everybody comes and meets and greets in person virtually, which is how the world is moving now. But 50 booths are available at this. What can we expect?
So there's lots of things that you can expect. The program was planned with something for everybody. And just to give you an idea, what are we going? The theme of the symposium is reimagining the Caribbean, positioning for the future driven by knowledge services growth. So rather than the Caribbean playing catch up, this is our time as a region, CARICOM, including the Dominican Republic, to come together and let's discuss, let's move, let's find solutions to some of the challenges that service providers and firms have been facing within the Caribbean. Because as you know, to be a services exporter, it's not an easy task because you are selling something that is intangible, but also it gives you the ability to sell your service without even crossing a border. So that's the beauty of being a service exporter. So we are coming together. There's roughly 5 tracks that will be covered. So day 1, we open and then we focus on track 1 is entitled Global Trends Impacting Services and the Caribbean Response. So we're going to have an expert from the IDB talk about the global scenario, and then we're going to drill on the Caribbean's response. And we do that by hosting a panel discussion with presidents of the Coalition of Services Industries from the countries that you pointed out. And then we get into a networking session, a virtual networking session, and it also affords participants time to visit the virtual booths. And if you are a potential and existing service exporter, it's a good idea for you to come and look on, because this, as you stated before, this is the way of the world, and this is where we are trying to transition our services exporters.
Well, Ms. Guidine, in a world that is becoming more and more divided, why is it important for the Caribbean to take this approach of collaborating amongst islands for services industries, especially in that particular area?
Well, I have to say that the Caribbean may be divided by water and land space, but services have also always been a medium through which we are connected. The cultural and creative industries within the region, you would find that there is so much synergies and collaboration happening in this space. So this is what we want to build about. I mean, the Road March family. If you listen to Marshall Montano, you will hear about the levels of collaboration that took place with that song alone. So we are going to build upon that, hence the reason why we have brought together so many BSOs, and this was a very easy transaction for us because we have been working with these BSOs for the last 5 years, and it was an area where we say, you know what, we need to we try to connect in person, but it's very expensive to bring people to Trinidad and Tobago, and plus air connectivity is an issue. So let's use the technology and let's work together.
Also, how is this symposium important in regards to further expanding on opportunities, economic growth, foreign investment?
Sure. So day 2 is focused on where we bring in the ministers of trade from the countries, from CARICOM countries. And day 1 focus on the entrepreneurs. We tell our story, we hear the successes, the failures, and what must be done to develop an ecosystem for the services sector. Day 2, we bring in the politicians and the technocrats, and where we work on solutions. And the idea here is to come up with a blueprint. We just want to identify the top 5 areas that we need to focus on at a regional level to develop and grow the services sector. And it's not going to be impossible things. We are going to find solutions within the next 3 to 6 months, where that we build on this collaboration, we build on this network so that we could get things done within the next 3 to 6 months. So this is the reason why it is important. Because when we come together like this, and again, what we are trying to do here at the TTCSI is build a community of like-minded persons. This is what it takes to build a service exporter. We cannot do this on our own. There are things that Jamaica is doing that we can learn about. There are things that Belize is doing that we need to implement in Trinidad and Tobago. And there are also things that the TTCSI in Trinidad and Tobago is doing that the other Caribbean islands want to learn about. And one of that area is in terms of trade in services data, because what gets measured gets done. And this is what we have been focused for the last 5 years in terms of tracking the performance of services exports. So that just like when the Minister of Finance could say that the manufacturers were able to double their exports within the last 2 to 3 years, we want to be able to have that data to say that these are the subsectors that have been doing well. And when we have that information, we can also identify what steps, what incentives must be put in place to grow the other sectors.
Well, Ms. Guiding, one of the major themes that are also being focused on in this 2023 symposium is sustainability and being eco-conscious. This is forging a pathway forward for, as we're referring to it, a new economic pathway, how the world is progressing and greater focus. So is this also a part of emphasizing on the natural splendors and wonders of the Caribbean and how the service industries have a role to play and a responsibility to play in being eco-conscious and sustainable in their practices?
Correct. I could not have said it better. But we are going a bit further because this is the way of the world. And the green market, the circular economy, this is a niche area that has a lot of potential for micro and small businesses. So if you green your practices, this is a niche market that is $1 trillion industry. There are opportunities for tourism operators, for event planners, hoteliers, whereby when you green your practice, when you green your industry, when you green your hotel, people are becoming more and more conscious. So they want to go to a green hotel. They want to engage with a business that is green conscious, that has in place circular economy practices. So it's a panel discussion, and it's roughly about 6 panelists that will present ideas on how to move forward and how to simple transitions that you need to make in order to become green.
Well, Ms. Guiding, just before we bid farewell, and again, I know there was a delay, but it's all well and good. More prep, more time for the virtual booth to be ready. You mentioned at the beginning of the interview the opportunity for those to attend. The first 5 persons to WhatsApp or call in will be given a complimentary ticket. Could you just share that information once more?
Sure. You just WhatsApp Keela at 322-9006 and give her your name, your email address, and the complimentary ticket will be sent to you. Again, this is a virtual event. No need to be hustling with traffic, finding a park. You can sit from the luxury of your home, the comfort of your home, and get access to over 25 speakers from 20 Caribbean countries.
And also, just to clarify, confirm the dates once more, it's October
17th and 18th.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. This is just in about 2 weeks' time. So thank you very much, Ms. Guiding, once more, and to the TTCSI and all those who are partnering with the TTCSI to make this event possible. Looking forward to what is being presented on the 17th and 18th.
Thank you.
Have a good day and a great weekend ahead. Ms. Vashti Guiding joining me this morning on AM Prime, the Caribbean Services Exporters Symposium 2023. reimagining the Caribbean, positioning the future driven by knowledge, services, growth, and we look forward to that. So you can WhatsApp that number that Ms. Guidini shared, and you have the opportunity to actually be given a complimentary ticket to attend the event on October 17th and 18th. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break here on AM Prime 1 Routine. We'll just wrap up with some regional updates, and then we bid farewell for the weekend. We'll be right back after this.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Alan's Funeral Home, Tunapuna. Relax. We know the loss of a loved one can be challenging, but we've got your back for all your funeral needs, from documents to the service and or burial. Let Alan's Funeral Home take care of you and your loved ones. We are located on the Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. Call us today at 663-1829 or visit allansfuneralhome.com. Alan's Funeral Home. Let us take care of business.
My name is Carl Media, and I'm the founder and the host of Ever Increasing Voice Ministries. Join me every Saturday and Sunday on WESN, this powerful station, at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. nightly. Also on Sundays, I'll be on at 7 a.m., 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. at night time. When you come here, we are getting people heavenly ready.
From Maracas Bay to Arapita Avenue and Piaco, Richard's Bake and Shark brings the world's most popular fish sandwich closer to you. Open daily at all our locations.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity, from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Are you ready?
We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready.
Fridays just got more important. On Friday, October 13th, Trinidad and Tobago's national football team battles Guatemala in a crucial Nations League encounter from 9 p.m. at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. A victory for the Soca Warriors will guarantee us a place in the quarterfinals with a host of possibilities, including the prestigious Copa Football and a World Cup seeding. Calling one and all to the National Stadium on Friday, October 13th. Let us fill it with noise and let the support reverberate. Tickets cost $100 covered, $50 uncovered. Tickets are on sale now at eboxtickets.com and at the venue from 12 p.m. on match day. Show your true colors. Be a fan. Be the ultimate Soca Warrior.
We're ready for the road.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've just got some regional updates to share with you before we conclude. We're starting with St. Lucia. Crime and violence continues to be a pressing concern for both the National Security Minister and the Prime Minister, Philip J. Pear. He has reassured the public of his administration's dedication to enhancing the working conditions for law enforcement officers, which is pivotal in the fight against crime. Furthermore, Pear has encouraged the populace to embrace more effective conflict resolution techniques to decrease the frequency of violent incidents. This report from St. Lucia.
The senseless loss of life, we have to find ways
to resolve our conflicts. We had to find ways to resolve our conflicts.
Prime Minister and Minister for National Security, Philip J. Pierre, urges the citizens of St. Lucia to remain composed in the midst of a surge in violent behavior by both adults and juveniles. Despite the efforts to curtail crime, Pierre acknowledged that the situation calls for more extensive intervention.
The situation is not yet under control. It's far from under control, but we are trying. We've just got 4 drones from the Taiwanese government, which will be put into effect very shortly. Drones will help. Drones is the modern way of crime fighting. We've got 4 of them, which we will put to work shortly. So it's a work in progress.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force has been putting in great efforts to tackle the issue, and Pierre expressed his gratitude for their hard work.
Again, I want to thank the police for what they do. It's not easy.
The government of St. Lucia is also dedicated to improving the working conditions of law enforcement personnel and has multiple ongoing projects aimed at uplifting the Royal St. Lucia Police Force.
Work is going on the constituency as we speak. It has started. I understand that it's supposed to be about 9 months to a year. I hope it happens before that. The division headquarters for the police, for the northern branch of the police, should start before the end of the year. It's a huge complex, and I'm very proud of it. It's going to give the police an environment where they can work and produce. I'm very happy for that, just as we thought. The House of Justice, as I said to you, it's a NIPRO project. It's going to be funded by NIPRO. The last I heard was they're finalizing the Bolt agreement. The government will be, after the loan has been paid, the government will get the building, same as the Ministry of Infrastructure. And then I think that they're making necessary arrangements for the soil tests, and that should start hopefully early in the new year, by January.
The National Security Minister has confirmed the government's commitment to enhancing the capabilities of the police force and boosting their morale, with the objective of enhancing crime-fighting efforts.
One more regional update to share with you this morning, ladies and gentlemen, comes from Guyana. And this is a story from the World is One news outlet, only known as WEON or WION, however you like to pronounce it, but the World is One. This says the IMF claims that Ghana's GDP grew by 62.3% in 2022, the fastest in the world. In addition to the fact that a third oil field has begun to produce oil, investments in housing, transportation, and human capital development have all contributed to the growth of Guyana's non-oil industry. This report from WION.
Meanwhile, in a world where economic landscapes are constantly evolving, there's one nation that's been making headlines with its explosive growth. Welcome to Guyana, a South American nation on the cusp of a remarkable transformation. How will Guyana reach the position of the world's fastest growing economy? Watch this report to know more.
Guyana, a Caribbean nation of approximately 800,000 people, is poised to become the world's fastest growing economy, driven primarily by its expanding oil sector. In recent years, Guyana's Stabroek Block, a vast offshore oil reservoir, has been a focal point for investment and exploration. Estimated to contain a staggering 11 billion barrels of oil, it's set to be a game changer. A consortium led by ExxonMobil is at the forefront of this transformation, with plans to boost oil production from 390,000 barrels per day to over 1 million barrels per day by 2027. This surge in oil production is driving Guyana's economic growth. In 2022, Guyana recorded a staggering 62.3% GDP growth, the highest in the world. The International Monetary Fund predicts that Guyana will continue to be the fastest growing economy in 2023 and beyond, with real GDP projected to rise by approximately 115% between 2022 and 2028. But while this story is one of extraordinary promise, it's not without its challenges. Political stability and oil prices are two critical factors that could shape Guyana's future. The nation's history has seen deep divisions between its Indo-Guyanese and Afro-Guyanese populations. Moreover, concerns of corruption and organized crime loom large, and the sudden influx of oil wealth could potentially exacerbate these challenges. Diversifying the economy will be essential for Guyana's long-term prosperity, as heavy reliance on oil revenues carries inherent risks. As Guyana's economic landscape continues to evolve, the country's story serves as a reminder of the complex interplay between geopolitics, resources, and the pursuit of prosperity. For now, Guyana remains a beacon of hope in an uncertain global economy.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for AM Prime this morning. Thank you very much. I was just listening to that report, but also to the music in the background. Quite dramatic, isn't it? Anyway, I'm Keaton Shaw, and this has been AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. Wishing you a grand day ahead and a great weekend. Maybe restful, maybe exciting, but at the same time, I hope it's a safe one. Just keep well in whatever you do, and may we see each other again on Monday morning from 6 a.m. for AM Prime. Stay tuned to the Premier platform for more Caribbean content later on today. My good friend and colleague Sean Michael Small is due to be here from 8 a.m. for Talking Point, and Andy Johnson from 10 a.m. for 10 Questions. But ladies and gentlemen, until we see each other again, have a good one. Bye-bye.
WESN.
I'm Andy Johnson, and you're watching WESN, the content capital.
Are you ready? We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready.
Fridays just got more important. On Friday, October 13th, Trinidad and Tobago's national football team battles Guatemala in a crucial Nations League encounter from 9 p.m. at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. A victory for the Soca Warriors will guarantee us a place in the quarterfinals with a host of possibilities, including the prestigious Copa Football and a World Cup seeding. Calling one and all to the National Stadium on Friday, October 13th. Let us fill it with noise and let the support reverberate. Tickets cost $100 covered, $50 uncovered. Tickets are on sale now at eboxtickets.com and at the venue from 12 p.m. on match day. Show your true colors. Be a fan. Be the ultimate Soca Warrior.
We're ready for the road.
Fan Zone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
From Maracas Bay to Arafita Avenue and Piaco, Richard's Bake and Shag brings the world's most popular fish sandwich closer to you. Open daily at all our locations.
Let the home store turn your house into a home you love. Get everything you need to give your home that special look and feel. We offer household items, lawn and garden, paint center, hardware, plumbing, lighting and electrical, toys and storage solutions. 5 convenient locations: 6th Avenue Barataria, The Falls at Westmore, Pennywise Plaza Shoguanas, C3 Center Branch and C3 San Fernando. Check out our Facebook page for more information and come visit us today. The Home Store. Turn your house into a home you love.
You gave us the inspiration to be first. We gave you the solutions that put you first. You walked with us side by side, and we continued to serve you with pride. First Citizens celebrates with you 30 years of achieving dreams, shaping success stories, and painting brighter futures together. And together, we'll accomplish so much more. First Citizens, together, 30 and beyond.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
We are WESN, the premier platform for Caribbean content. WESN, covering West, East, South, and North. WESN, we entertainment, sports, and news. WESN, available on Greendot 7, Amplia 118, Airlink 17, Bmobile 107, Digicel 21, ICNTT 105, and Flow 110. Connect with us at WESNCC or stream online at www.wesncc.com. WESN, your premier platform for Caribbean content.
Mobilized hundreds, thousands of people who actually adopted this slogan. And in Farsi, it has a sort of very nice rhythm. So it's very useful to use in demonstrations, I imagine.
Yes, sorry to put you on the spot there with the Farsi. You rightly recognize those protesters, and then you also pointed out that Mohammadi's protest has been going on for decades. But the question is, why Nargis and why now?
Several reasons. First of all, she is a long-timer as an Iranian activist, and she has achieved a position as an undisputed leader, as a women's activist, a human rights activist, and demanding basic democratic rights and human rights to people in Iran.